CNN, in my view, should be the place where both sides can watch.
And I don't think that you can say that CNN is anything but fair. I mean, look at that. We covered President Biden's exit from the race very closely, the pressure on him to get out. And I feel like I can speak with authority on this. I'm from Alabama. I'm from a very red state. I have a very conservative family, a lot of them who are Trump voters. They watch my show every night. And I think they know that they can trust me, that, we call bullshit on every side.
CNN claims it's the one place where both sides can still tune in. Kaitlan Collins insists conservatives trust her, that she calls it straight down the middle. But if that were true, why does every conversation somehow end with conservatives painted as the problem? Because what CNN calls balance looks a lot like selective outrage dressed up as journalism.
Collins, I'm inside the East Wing of the White House right now, and if you look over my left shoulder, you can see the portrait of President Barack Obama. That, of course, was his presidential portrait that was unveiled a few years ago and installed here at the White House. One question that we had coming in was whether or not that portrait would remain up. We've seen Trump removing the portraits of his former officials at the Pentagon, like General Mark Milley and his former Secretary of Defense, Mark Esper. But so far, all the portraits in the East Wing of the White House still appear to be up.
If you thought the tension between Kaitlan Collins and Bill Maher was over, think again. This isn't a disagreement, it's a slow-burning media war. Collins seems determined to attack anything that smells even remotely conservative, while Maher refuses to play along. And every exchange makes CNN's credibility crack just a little more.
Challenge you on one of the statements that you made in the tail end of the campaign in the midterms. That
here we go.
If you don't mind, Mr. President, that this caravan was an invasion. As you know, Mr. President,
I consider it to be an invasion.
As you know, Mr. President, the caravan was not an invasion. It's a group of migrants moving up from Central America towards the border with the U.S.
Thank you for telling me that.
And why did you characterize it as such?
Because I consider it an invasion. You and I have a different.
While inflation, crime, and global instability dominate real life, CNN zooms in on wall decor. Kaitlan Collins reports from the White House, speculating whether Obama's portrait might be removed. Not policy, not governance, portraits. Viewers noticed, and they weren't impressed.
That Kamala doesn't talk to the press. In a way, I feel like it's more insulting than what Trump does. And Trump says you're the enemy of the people, which is pretty bad. What she's kind of saying is, I don't need you. I'm not talking to you. You don't matter. You're not relevant anymore. To me, that's even worse than I hate you. It's like, I don't think about you.
I don't know if it's worse than denigrating the press on a daily basis, which is what Donald Trump did. I mean, I covered him in the White House every day as
Social media lit up instantly. People asked why CNN was wasting airtime on artwork instead of real problems. Some even joked Kaitlan looked disappointed nothing was taken down. Others said this obsession is exactly why CNN keeps losing trust, and why comparisons to Jim Acosta keep popping up.
About how great a speech it was. And I think she did fine. I didn't think it was as good as they were making it out to be. It does look like tokenism. It's kind of like the same as The View.
I don't think that you can say that CNN is anything but fair. Everyone who was speaking last night, it's not like they were all Democrats. I mean, Dana Bash, Jake Tapper, Abby Phillip.
They come across
giving
that way.
Analysis.
They come across that way. In a moment like that, it was like five.
CNN doesn't do things randomly, especially when Trump is involved. That portrait story wasn't curiosity, it was bait. A setup. Hoping for outrage, headlines, and another anti-Trump cycle. When it didn't happen, the disappointment was obvious.
Tom Homan.
Days after Trump is sworn in, before this effort to carry out the mass deportations begins. I know you said it starts on day one, but after how many days will we actually start to see that happening?
Bill Maher went straight for the jugular. He criticized Kamala Harris for refusing to speak to the press and said that kind of silence is more insulting than Trump's attacks. Kaitlan couldn't respond without dragging Trump into it, because that's the default setting. Deflect, pivot, repeat.
Effort overall, in terms of what you believe you need, and you're obviously deeply familiar with how this works and what's ahead of you. You had previously said about $86 billion was the minimum this project will cost. Do you have a better estimate now as you've been developing your plan?
I never said 86 billion. That was a CNN reporter that said 86 billion.
The question was simple. Why wouldn't Kamala Harris face the press? Instead of answering, Kaitlan reframed it as a Trump comparison. That's not reporting, that's protection. And when journalists stop asking tough questions, the public notices.
86 billion. I mean, what price you put on the young women that have been murdered and raped in this country? What price you put on, the lives of all these little girls that, there's numerous cases. What price you put on national security? Because we know a record number of people on terrorist watch that's been called on the southern border. We also know there's over 2.2 million gotaways. How many of them came from countries sponsoring terror? What price you put on the thousands of angel moms and dads who their children were buried by their parents because their children were killed by someone that's not supposed to be here?
Maher didn't stop there. He compared CNN to The View, a place where opinion rules and facts struggle to survive. The difference? The View admits its opinion. CNN still pretends it's journalism. That comparison stung, and it landed.
This would be an expensive operation, but in the long run, it would be a huge tax savings on the American people, because right now they're spending billions of dollars on free airline tickets, free hotel rooms, free medical care. Not talking about our education system, our trauma and hospitals, and sir, that's in perpetuity.
Then came Tom Homan, and suddenly the script flipped. Kaitlan tried the usual routine: numbers, pressure, framing. Homan paused calmly, then dismantled the narrative. When she tried to pin an $86 billion price tag on him, he shut it down instantly. That number? CNN's not his.
Of how many undocumented immigrants are in the country and you have said everyone is on the table. If it's 11 million people and what that number looks like, what is your goal over the 4 years of the total number of people that you would like to? If you have the number of beds that you would like, if you have the number of ICE deportation officers and others that can help you with that, what is your ultimate number of that deportation that you would like to see when you're done with your job?
I don't have a number. We want to arrest as many people as we can that are in the country illegally, again, based on prioritization. We want to arrest every criminal, every gang member that's here illegally, that's a public safety threat. We want to arrest every fugitive, those who had due process at great taxpayer expense and have an ordered deportation but didn't leave and became a fugitive. We got over 1.5 million of those. And look, we got millions of people here illegally. I've said, if you're here illegally, you're not off the table. I mean, it's a violation of law. It's a crime in this country.
Homan didn't dodge. He didn't spin. He talked about victims, national security, and real-world consequences. He admitted enforcement is expensive, but explained why inaction costs more. That's transparency. Something CNN struggles to recognize when it doesn't fit the narrative.
Challenge you on one of the statements that you made in the tail end of the campaign in the midterms.
Here we go.
If you don't mind, Mr. President, that this caravan was an invasion. As you know, Mr. President,
I consider it to be an invasion.
As you know, Mr. President, the caravan was not an invasion. It's a group of migrants moving up from Central America towards the border with the U.S.
Thank you for telling me that.
Why did you characterize it as such?
Because I consider it an invasion. You and I have a different.
This is the bigger picture. Media chasing gotchas. Politicians hiding from the press. Journalists protecting power instead of questioning it. And figures like Homan and Maher exposing the cracks. The more CNN pushes the act, the more obvious it becomes, and people are done pretending not to see it.
That Kamala doesn't talk to the press. In a way, I feel like it's more insulting than what Trump does. And Trump says you're the enemy of the people, which is pretty bad. What she's kind of saying is, I don't need you. I'm not talking to you. You don't matter. You're not relevant anymore. To me, that's even worse than I hate you. It's like, I don't think about you.
I don't know if it's worse than denigrating the press on a daily basis, which is what Donald Trump did. I mean, I covered him in the White House every day
Kaitlan Collins kept pushing for numbers, hoping for a headline-ready quote. But Tom Homan didn't take the bait. He made it clear, border security isn't about quotas or catchy statistics. It's about enforcing the law and prioritizing public safety. When journalists chase gotcha moments instead of solutions, they miss the point, and the audience sees right through it.